is one of the largest, professional services firm in the world. There were times when we felt that, this year is not going to be a normal year. Okay. However, for the past couple of months, we have been able to be resilient about and come out winners from the situation. And what we now see essentially is, it's going to be a new normal and a good year ahead. So, there are, again, these perspectives, put you in a place of, it's not all gloomy, out there. But we are recovering. In fact, if you look at, of course, I will touch upon, some of the elements that we are going to, discuss here in details. However, world over, governments have been giving stimulus packages, to industries, and generally, for the economy to be back on its feet. Given that, of course, and the unique, unique situation that we are in, there have been a lot of technological changes. If you look at it, I suppose most of you are part of one of the industries that we have and the sectors that we have. And each of you may have seen the transformation from, a physical presence, a required physical presence, be it at the client place, be it at offices, etc. That transformation taking into the digital world. So this is one of the biggest opportunities that we have seen. In fact, some of my projects that we are doing, engagements that we are doing right now, are using various, technology enablers. I don't, frankly, I don't require to, go to my client's premises anymore. We can still do the business. So with that thought, I'll probably, hand over the baton to Jasneet for a quick introduction of the CISI.
Yeah, Jasneet, yeah.
I think I was on mute.
Mute.
Yeah. Thanks, Ankan, for sharing your thoughts on the industry. A very quick introduction from my experience of the last 5-6 months. So I basically come from a certification background. I work with CISI, which is a chartered body for providing financial services certification. So since I work on the professional certification side, the trend that I have seen in the last couple of months is that most of the professionals as well as students are trying to update themselves with the latest knowledge on their domain side through relevant certifications. I'm not saying it's only CISI, but I've seen people doing a lot of courses on LinkedIn. I've seen them taking up courses which is helping them upgrade from one level to the other level. So I think it was very quick for them to understand the fact that it's survival of the fittest. And I've all heard stories and situations where there have been job losses, and the only what I've heard from the feedback from people is that until we upgrade ourselves, it will be very difficult to sustain in the current unfortunate environment. And to that effect, I remember of going through this small interview which was done for Mr. Sundar Pichai, who's the Google CEO, and he said that there are two things which are very important if you want to survive the current situation. One is adaptability, and the other one is innovation. And it just struck me that this perhaps was the silver lining, that if you don't adapt, if you don't innovate, it's going to be extremely difficult to survive through the existing phase. And I think from again coming back to the certification point of view, how professional certifications help you is that it helps you demonstrate your knowledge to the regulators, to the industry, that you have done something where which is relevant to your area of work. You have not taken I think you have seen the positive side of the situation where you try to make the best use of your time and try to really reskill yourself so that you stay relevant and adaptable to the new changes in the environment that we see. And in case of CISI, because I can vouch for CISI because of being the country head, We have got recognition in more than 110 countries all over the world. So, whether it's students or whether it's people working in industry, the smart ones very quickly understood the fact that, it's important to take, the best use of the time and study and make sure that, when the situation gets back to normalcy, in a few months time, then you are still relevant. So that was my opening remark, which I just want to share with you guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Just a note for the attendees that, we have, since we are based out of Mumbai, and Mumbai is facing a very, very, very heavy shower since last 24 hours. So, there might be a little, connectivity issues. So please do bear with us. And also, if you have any questions, we will be taking the questions at the end of the session. So, please make sure that you write the questions in the Q&A panel. Thank you.
Sure. So I'll just quickly run through a brief introduction about CISI, because I'm sure most of you all might have heard, might not have heard CISI. So let me just share my screen and run through a quick 5-minute presentation on CISI. Prashant, just let me know once my PPT is on the screen.
Sure.
Is it visible, Prashant?
It is. It is.
Great. Okay. So the Chartered Institute for Securities Investments is actually a not-for-profit organization which was formed and evolved from the members of London Stock Exchange in the year 1992. And you see that walkie-talkie shaped building in London. That is where our office is, on the 4th floor. We just moved a couple of years back. Although we are a very small organization with about 170 staff in the UK and about another 100 odd in more than 8 countries all over the world, but we have got a presence in more than 100 countries. And we are a certification body. We offer certification in the financial services, ranging from front office, middle office, and back office. So you choose and decide the area of the specialization that you want to get into. We have 45,000 members all over the world. And interestingly, out of which 20,000 are students studying in universities or colleges. Like I mentioned, we are not for profit, a registered charity in the UK. 40,000 exams of CISI are taken all over the year. We have a board of trustees who guide us and help us, on our way forward. Now, every organization has got some vision and mission, and they stand on a couple of pillars. Now, the pillars for CISI, and we define, and probably you can take a note of the screen. If someone asks you what is professionalism, the best answer. Professionalism is a combination of knowledge, skills, and behavior. Right? Knowledge is by the virtue of the certification that you take, the reading through, the examination which are there, and basically it helps you to gain the initial competence to do your job through professional qualification which are developed by practitioners and senior practitioners themselves. The second part is skills. Any certification that you take from CISI stays with you lifelong. However, financial services as an industry is an ever-evolving industry. So one has to upgrade themselves on an ongoing basis. And that is where skills come into the picture, where we have something called as continuous professional development, which basically enables you to maintain the competence on an ongoing basis. So we, being a membership body, we ensure that after you complete the qualification, you take up the membership. And for example, Ankan, who is there with us today, he's a fellow member of CISI. That means on an ongoing basis, he keeps getting regular updates on the regulatory side, on the financial services side, on various aspects related to his work domain as well. And third, and the most important, if you don't have the third one, the first two are pretty much useless, is the right behavior and integrity. And this perhaps became even more relevant after the 2008 global recession that we saw in the US, where we felt that, perhaps there was some lack of integrity and right behavior on part of a couple of, firms, which led to a huge recession back in the US. So yes, for us, professionalism is all about knowledge, skills, and behavior. In terms of international representation, we have got about 8 offices around the world, and this is just a picture of where our offices are. We have got offices, London being the head office, Spain, Ireland, Scotland, Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, Philippines, Africa, UAE, and of course, India as well. And then we're very soon going to be opening offices in Colombia as well. Now, this is a very interesting slide. The places where CISI got regulatory recognition for its programs. That means the regulators have recognized our programs and have made it a part of their offering. And as you can see over here, we have...
Jasneet, if I can interrupt, sorry. The slides are not moving, I guess. We are still on the first slide. That's what I'm seeing.
Oh, okay.
Jasneet, sorry. Not yet, Jasneet.
Okay. Because moving from my end.
I think there is a little bit of issue with it. Just popped up, screen popped up actually.
Can you see the regulatory recognition slide now?
Not yet, Jasneet.
I think I'll still go ahead with that because, like Prashant mentioned, it's rain, so maybe the internet connection might be. But I hope I'm audible.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, you are audible. Clear.
Yeah, right. So I was just mentioning that in more than 64 countries all over the world, we have formal recognition with the regulators, where regulators have recognized CSI programs for various domains, whether it's risk, compliance, capital markets, or on the regulatory side, right? And our collaborations in India, if I talk about India, we got a collaboration with NISM, which is the learning arm of SEBI. We're working with RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. We're working with IIBF, which is the Indian Institute of Banking and Finance, the Company Secretaries Institute, the Cost and Worker Accountants Institute. We're working with a lot of corporates. In fact, it's unfortunate that you might not be able to see my slide because there are more than 110 corporate supporters all over the world that we work with, ranging from Goldman's to JP Morgan to HSBC, Barclays. Just give you some stats. We work with about 90% of global English-speaking banks, where they're taking up our certifications in some way or the other, either for their employees or they're taking it up as a capacity building measure, where they recognize any individual or a college graduate who has done these modules as part of their college curriculum, and they give the first preference to them as part of placements as well. So it's not only taken by practitioners, but also by students who wish to become future practitioners working with one of these global banks. In terms of universities, we're working with some of the top universities in India, Christ University, we're working with Jain University, JBIM, St. Mary's, SIS, IMT, ITM Institutes, which is Kara University in Chandigarh, and Symbiosis in Pune. So we are associated with most of them. And the last couple of months, we have seen the universities have tried. In fact, the pandemic has worked in the favor, where they've understood how professional certifications are going to play a huge role in the coming years for shaping the future of students. And also very happy to see the new education policy in place, which is much more practical than the previous policy, which encourages practical learning for students, which will really help them and prepare themselves for the industry in a much better way. And lastly, I mean, we've got a lot of qualifications to choose from. Like I said, front office, back office. If you want to be a risk officer, we got something on risk and financial services. If you are looking at compliance as a domain, we have something on compliance. Wealth management, investment banking operations is a huge area in India, where most of the global banks have set up their captives. You name them, and all of them have their captives in India, and they are always looking out for people who can do the back office operations job. So we have something called as the investment operations certificate, which talks about reconciliation, settlements, life cycle of trade, client money and assets, corporate actions. And these are very, very niche domains, mind you. And we actually don't have any competitors who offer similar kind of domain. And the best part is The certifications are updated every 6 to 9 months to ensure the learning that you get is absolutely real time. And we keep changing our syllabuses so that you learn what is happening right now in the markets. With that, I will again give it back to Prashant so that we can take up some of the questions for Ankan and myself. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, I guess there was some issue with the net connection. That's why the slides were not moving. So we have been facing that since yesterday, right? So, a question for Ankan, like, how has, we have seen everything going digital in the last 4 months. Okay. And many people are saying that digital is the new thing. Right. I don't know, like, we may be jumping the gun out here saying that, it's only online, though online courses have flourished a lot. Okay. So how has it changed the entire financial scenario? Like earlier we used to have, like, a very simple example of someone selling insurance, someone selling or a bank employee. Okay. Uh, they, for any kind of financial investment from the client, they have to go to the office or the home, sit with them, uh, give them the entire brief presentation, right? And that's, I'm sure, not going to happen for the next 3-4 months, definitely. So how has it changed out there? Like, what is the new scenario we are seeing?
Absolutely, Prasad. I completely echo with the question, and that's a really interesting question to answer. If we step back a couple of months ago, I mean, I'm talking as recently as probably April or May. As I said, I mean, we were required to be at client places, have face to face with the client, etc. But now, if you look at it, there has been a paradigm shift from how we do business. Essentially speaking, if you look at what this paradigm shift entails, there are two aspects to it. One is the businesses moving online. Okay, that's one of the areas, one of the factors. The other factor is how we are enabling this shift from a physical space to a digital space. Now, if we look at it, there are examples galore. I mean, I can give you as many examples as you want to probably. One of the biggest advantage, or probably look at our webinar today. I mean, had we had a normal probably situation, we would have been doing this webinar. It would not have been a webinar, but a seminar in a five-star hotel or somewhere like that, right? Where we would have interacted with the participants physically. But look at how we have structured and how we have adapted to the new normal, if I can call it, where everything now is online. I mean, you have payment systems which have now come online. From the perspective of, let's say, even client interaction, I can do a Zoom or a Microsoft team with my clients, and in essentially speaking, how the documents flow. We have MST, for example, Microsoft Team allows you to actually host files, even large files, on the Microsoft Team. So in fact, we have engagements which are running pretty much on the Microsoft Team, where the client hosts a set of documents that we need to look at, and we provide our comments and our reports on the same link. So there's no need, even from a wholesale or a retail bank, for example, from that perspective, there's no need for a relationship manager now to actually go and meet the client until unless they're meeting over a cup of coffee. Okay, right. So it is, the transition has been smooth to that extent. I mean, of course, probably in the month of March or April, we would have thought, how is this going to happen? There are going to be pretty disruptions and profound disruptions in the marketplace because of the COVID-19 situation. Okay, everybody's working from home. How are we going to manage that? But I think that transition has been pretty good. It has been pretty smooth so far. And again, taking probably an example from the trading desk point of view, anyways, all the trading, that we used to do, be it trade capture, be it, trade management, as Jasneet, rightly mentioned, the entire trade life cycle. Now, I mean, that was predominantly online. There were systems through which you had to do right from the trade being entered in the system to, the balance sheet management. So that has obviously moved through remote accesses and platforms. So in short, I mean, probably coming home to the question, digitization, I think, is going to stay here. In fact, what I hear from my clients, as well as as in a market at large, I think why in the next couple of months, I think it's going to be, businesses are going to be done online, except for probably where you require to probably visit a factory site or something like that. The manufacturing industry will still predominantly be run out of, factory floors. But if you look at the tertiary services, for example, advisories, fund management, financial planning, etc. The services sector, I think, primarily would be shifting digital.
Yeah, because I think the world has seen the advantages
Of
of
course,
it,
yes.
which was, uh, 4 months back, people were just thinking about it or not even thinking about it, but now, since they had to do it forcefully, so many advantages, like, you
Hmm.
don't have to now, your traveling time is reduced.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
You just need, so everything is kind of win-win situation for both the parties.
And importantly, Prashant, I wanted to point out, the cost benefit analysis for, if you look at hosting your employees on a physical office space versus, work from home, I think the cost benefits that are derived primarily by the corporates, it's pretty large. I mean, for example, we don't need to now hold office, real estate, and pay the lease rentals. We can have a small office. Things are progressing in that way, where probably office spaces are getting reduced, and there are concepts of hot desks, essentially, where only people who are required to be in the office come to the office. Rest of the workforce can actually work from remote location.
Okay. Yeah. So I would like to ask Jasneet one this thing, like, this pandemic has brought into fore the realization, across whole sector of upscaling and upskilling themselves professionally. you know uh, yes, people had time in the month of April, March, when they were, kind of, most of the offices were shut down, so they were kind of going online and going to the courses and all those, upgrading themselves, right? But now they have seen that this helps, and now then they need a proper certification course which will actually help them professionally. Okay. uh, so does the same apply to finance? And definitely it does, but what kind of a upscaling do the students and the young professionals require? We're talking about the students, the management students, who are maybe going into the field next year or maybe this year, and the young professionals who have just entered this field with 1 or 2 years of experience.
Sure. I think it's a very valid question, Prashant. And as we have seen in the last couple of years, jobs, whether it's financial services or whether it's any other field, uh, we were facing an issue of jobs any which ways, and the pandemic has completely disrupted that more than ever. Right. I'll give you a simple example of my own company, CISI, which is a small company. We were looking to hire someone in the month of December last year and Jan. And once the pandemic struck, we kept our hiring on freeze, and it is still on freeze. right? And I've interacted with a lot of clients of mine. We work with all the big banks, all the big ITS firms. And although they have not come out very openly, but behind the door discussions has been that, monotonous jobs are leaving. A lot of processes that they were working on are not there anymore. And it's a simple case, today, if I have my job, then only I can pay people who are working under me, right? But if I don't have my own source of income, how do I sustain and how do I pay salaries for the others,
Right.
right? However, luckily, for us, we are still, very much actively, working. And one thing that we realize is people and students, especially at, the management institutes or colleges, the ones who can actually demonstrate competence, the ones who can actually show that, they are updated themselves, they have upgraded themselves, and who have the focus are the ones who are actually going to stand out from the crowd. Now, I'll give you again same example. Tomorrow, I'm sure hiring will happen again, right? If I'm going out to hire a graduate or a postgraduate, and I've had two resumes in my hands. One, let's say, is a vanilla BCom, BBA, or maybe MBA in finance or marketing, and the other one has done something extra. The something extra could be, an internship, could be a certification. I'm not saying CIS certification only, but any certification which is relevant to the job role that he or she has applied for. Now, automatically, this other person with an additional, certification stands a chance, a better chance of getting placed, not only in my company, but anywhere for that matter, right? So what a professional certification does is it opens doors for you. It allows you to make, an entry into a corporate world, right? It gives you the slight edge, and that slight edge is a very, very important push in your initial career, right? So when you are actually studying in college, or when you are actually doing, an MBA program, it's very difficult to actually bag on campus placement, because, and this have been told to me by a lot of senior recruiters, that when they go to a campus, they've got like 50, 60 resumes in their hand, but they can't be interviewing everyone. A lot of resumes are actually shortlisted on the basis of, what they have done additional apart from their regular studies. And that is where, if you have done an additional qualification, you actually stand a chance to crack an interview with the actual potential recruiter. And then, of course, it's completely up to you. So we can actually, certification takes you to the door. It helps you knock on the door. And then to enter the door is completely how well you can articulate during your interview and how you can impress the interviewer, right? But what it does is, the professional certification gives you the technical knowledge. So when you are actually talking to a recruiter, you can actually talk to them in the technical terms, and you can then take the interview to the way where you want to. For example, if you're someone who's done, let's say, an investment banking operation qualification, and a potential recruiter sees that on your resume, he will ask you, okay, what is this? Can you talk about this? And then you're diverting the interview to your core competence. And then you can demonstrate that, what this is. We have done a CISA qualification, which is recognized in 110 countries and by 62 regulators all over the world. That means, you can actually tell your principals that the people who are working in this organization are certified to do a particular job. And not only in India, but almost in more than 100 countries all over the world. So this is what a professional certification helps you with. And this is what I have seen in the last 6 months. The focus group, the serious group, have realized that this pandemic is actually an opportunity for them to upgrade themselves. And when the situation improves, they stand a much better chance over the others in terms of getting the right job.
Okay. Coming back to you, Ankin, being someone from the core industry, okay. In the last 3-4 months, many people have lost their job, right? And so what they're seeing is, as a person, right? I have lost my job, but the other person who is sitting next to me is still there on the, is still working, right? So he must have done something extra or something, so is it the age of multitasking, or, kind of knowing that extra 20% more on your subject domain, the old thing of okay, fine, I know accounting, I know this, so I'll just relax and keep doing my job. So has this pandemic taught us to go that extra 20%, learn that extra 20%, and then make sure that when it comes, when a company has to select, that these are the people whom we need to give the pink slips, your name is not in there.
Of course, Prasanth. I'll take an example here on probably that will give us a fair idea of how to answer this question. For all the sporting enthusiasts out there, I'll try to put it like this. When you see a sports person entering a stadium or an arena, you see them carrying a kit bag, right? Correct. So I heard this from one of my colleagues in CISI. Okay. So the question is, what's there in your kit bag? So are you entering the arena with a kit bag, which are nothing but leverages that help you, stay on the job, one, or even progress on the job, and rightfully to answer to your question, not get that pink slip, versus somebody who is just entering the arena without the kit bag. So what do you carry in that kit bag is essential. Everybody has, as Justin I think rightly put it, everybody has at minimum qualification, be it BE, BCom, MBA, etc. But nowadays, what recruiters are specifically looking at is what extra skill set that you bring to the table. Because there are, if you look at the competition, everybody has a bare minimum degree. Okay, what differentiates you at the table or at at the interview is essentially what are the professional certifications that you carry, and not necessarily you have to have professional certifications, but what extra skill sets do you have? It can be a soft skill as well. For example, over the last couple of months, because given the background that we do a lot of financial modeling, we are required to have a grasp of at least one of the languaging skills. For example, R or a Python. Okay, I know how to do financial modeling, complex modeling using R. Over the last 3-4 months, what I have done is I have reskilled myself, and I'm now at an intermediate stage on Python. Okay, so that's a new language that I have learned over these months. Okay, so if you look at my kit bag, the kit bag that I carry, okay, it has the usual the at minimum degrees that I required to. I have become the chartered fellow of the CISI, and I have learned another coding skill. Okay, so that would probably help me in being in the market when we probably return back to normalcy.
So basically, carry all the equipments before you enter.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And if you don't have that, go and procure it. See, ultimately, when we do reskilling or upgrade, enhance our skills, it actually adds back to our basically provides a leverage for us. Okay, so that's the idea essentially.
Okay, there's a question for you, Jasneet, from Prakash. Being a postgraduate like MCom, is there any professional courses like to become in wealth management line? If it is, then can you please suggest?
I'm glad Prakash asked that question because 4 years back, from CSI point of view, we have a certification called International Certificate in Wealth and Investment Management India, which got the formal recognition from NISM for anyone who wants to get into the advisory, wealth management advisory role in India. So yes, Prakash, we have a wealth management qualification, which is a 2-paper part. There's an international part to it, and there's an Indian component to it. And the 2 exams put together gives you a certificate called as ICWIM India, which means that tomorrow, if you have this certificate, you are actually licensed to advise in India. And apart from India, in another 6 countries where the international module is well recognized. So it's simple. I mean, whenever we are learning to drive, we actually get the license after passing a test, a driving test. Similarly, in 2014, when SEBI came out with the guidelines for investment advisors, CISI's wealth management qualification was one of the qualifications which got recognized. And that means you can do that course, and that will basically give you a license to advise in India. So yes, to answer the question, we have wealth management qualification, which you can get in touch with us, and we're happy to offer you the curriculum. The exams are all multiple choice questions, can be taken throughout the year. So you decide your examination time and date. And yeah, once you clear that, you get the license to advise.
Thank you. What I've seen is one thing, this is to all the attendees or the students, okay? There are many courses available online, lots and lots and lots of them, right? And at various price points also, okay? But then you have to make sure which certificate will help you move forward. There are certificates, there are certificates you will get just like that, just by paying some money. We are doing a course of a week or something like that. So, before going into anything, just make sure that what are you looking at? What is your motive of doing that certification? And will that certification will actually help you achieve what you're targeting through that? So, there's a question for Ankan from Mr. Venkat Teja. Can you please tell me how the career will be as an underwriter and doc processing related to mortgage loans?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Prashant. I'll probably try to put it in perspective. What does basically, I mean, we have to first understand what does a mortgage underwriter do. So the primary responsibility of a mortgage underwriter includes, analyzing and verifying loan applications. Okay, not only applications, but the inherent risks that that loan that borrower has, and of course, making and finalizing the loan eligibility decisions. Okay, so essentially, given the background of what entails for a mortgage underwriter, a successful mortgage underwriter should be able to, then exercise sound judgment based on detailed analysis and ensure that all documentation is in compliance with the relevant, regulations. And of course, to look at what your bank's appetite is for that particular borrower group. Now, if you look at, probably I can put a couple of pointers around the responsibilities of the underwriter. It actually starts with authorizing and underwriting loans. Okay, that's the primary role. Within that, you have, of course, validations of loan applications and supporting documents. Analyzing the loan risk, as I said, the borrower's credit quality is very essential. And of course, preparing reports on assessment and the findings to be placed with the various committees. For example, you may have a credit committee for approval of the loan. And one of the things that are required for a mortgage underwriter is to know what are the specific regulations for that particular geography. Now, for example, if you want to be a mortgage underwriter in India, you should know what are the rules applicable from RBI for both various kinds of credit portfolios, including but not limited to even NBFCs. Okay. Of course, if you ask me what are the requirements to become a mortgage underwriter, okay, first and foremost, you should have a degree in business, banking, or finance. That's preferable because then we understand the dynamics of how finance works. Pre-experience of loan underwriting is also an added advantage. And of course, what is required per se is very good drafting skills. Okay, because see, ultimately, how you write your report for the investment committee or the credit appraisal committee is also essential. Okay, So these are, I think, couple of things that go into the job of a credit underwriter.
So we'll be taking two last questions. Okay, one from Hemant Singh and one from Dhanush Shetty. Okay, I guess yeah, we'll be taking one more. From Shishir, he has just written. This one is for you, Jasneet, from Hemant Singh. I'm a MBA graduate. I know financial modeling in equity research, good knowledge of corporate finance. Sir, is there any course for equity research financial analyst?
Well, if you talk about financial analysis, there's definitely a CFA qualification that one can look at, which will help you with the broad knowledge on that. And also, CFAs are recognized all over the world. So my recommendation, if you want to be a financial analyst, that perhaps is the right pick for you. However, in your question, you've also mentioned corporate finance. So if at all, you have interest in corporate finance, from CSI point of view, we have a corporate finance technical foundation examination, which is very well received around the world. So, we'll be more than happy to offer you that particular exam as well, which again will be a computer-based tested exam. But then on the financial analysis side, I think CFA would be my personal recommendation to the gentleman who's written the question. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just allowing just one sec.
I think Prashant, is a question someone asked on how to enter into investment banking. So if you don't mind, I would like to take that question, and perhaps if Uncle wants to add to it, he can add as well. Firstly, let me rephrase the question: how to enter investment banking? Well, you can enter any investment bank, but how to work with an investment bank? There are a couple of things. Firstly, we need to understand, the concept of investment banking is considered to be a very fancy term, especially with the student population in India, where they feel that, if they're doing an MBA, they'll be doing a front office investment banking job role. They'll be doing mergers and acquisitions for big deals. I'm sorry, but I would like to break the myth over here, because people who actually do the front office bit are located in countries like US and UK, where the front offices are. For example, if you take the example of Goldman's and JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, these are US based companies. Then you have Barclays, all of them actually have got their investment banking operations in India, right? And I'm saying that, again, that's a huge area. It's a great area to work in. People who are working on this domain have done really well. And how you can enter, I think, to be very honest, we work with about 90% of these firms who have their captives. Like I said, you name it, we work with all the Barclays and the Deutsche and the Goldman Sachs of the world. And we have a program which is called as Investment Banking Operations Qualification, which is again a combination of 3 particular modules that one has to take, which absolutely focuses on the investment banking operation side of business, where we have reconciliation, you have settlements, trade life cycle, you have corporate actions, you have derivatives, which is again a combination of over-the-counter and exchange trade derivatives. This particular module, in fact, most of the investment banks that we work with in India are taking it up for their own employees. And also some of the universities that we have partnered with for their students who are looking forward to get into this industry are taking it up at their graduation or post-graduation level. So my personal recommendation is, if you want to get into the likes of these big companies, investment banks, then definitely investment banking operations qualification from CISI is very well recognized. In fact, we have got a mandate from a couple of investment banks to provide students who have done the IOC from CISI. So that from my end would be the right recommendation. Combination of 3 exams to achieve IOC. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, one for Mr. Ankan. This is from Manish Jajodia. I have a question for Ankan, sir. So particularly in audit and assurance of mutual funds, how will this pandemic affect the regulatory landscape in audit and assurance space?
Okay. I think, I being from one of the largest audit and assurance professional services provider, Manish, I don't think the pandemic essentially is going to affect how we do audits, okay, and how we provide assurance services, be it for mutual funds, insurance companies, banks, or even corporate clients for that matter. However, I mean, uh, I really haven't heard anything, uh, which entails that there is going to be a regulatory change in the way we do audit. Of course, I mean, as you are aware that the ICAI and the FASB do regularly come out with changes to the methodologies of audit. For example, recognition, de-recognition, how provisions are to be created, etc. However, I mean, I don't think the way, we haven't actually heard anything from the institute here in terms of, how we probably, transform ourselves for providing audit and assurance services to our client.
Okay. So yeah, we have another question, all the questions and all, but we'll take just one, and for all the other attendees whose questions could not be taken out here, we'll make sure that we'll answer you and get it answered by the experts, and we'll mail it to you. So one last question, and this is about financials. Okay. As Ankan sir said, this is from Shishir. As Ankan sir said, candidates should have additional skills like Python, R, etc. To gain the skills, is that mandatory to get the certification from some academy, or if we learn through YouTube or free source, would it be okay? Because there are many people who cannot kind of afford that kind of certification fees.
You want me to take that question, Prashant?
Yeah, like this is the last question. So if we can get a bite from both of you.
Okay. Just if it is okay, I'll go first.
Yeah, please.
It's not necessary to actually have a certification on the coding skills that you prepare yourselves on or gather over a period of time. It's essentially what happens. For coders specifically, the way I look at when I hire coders in my team is essentially to give them a live project. I'll probably give them an assignment to specifically give us an output by using, let's say, R, Python, SQL, VBA, LaTeX, etc. Yes, there are advantages of getting certified from a recognized body, okay, or a recognized educator. But frankly speaking, if you come to the industry, people are not going to ask you where you got this certificate. Rather, people are going to ask you how you can implement that particular knowledge for deriving an outcome. Okay. So this is what I do when we hire coders in my team. I essentially give them an engagement or a small assignment to see how dexterous they are in terms of what they claim. So yeah, that's my personal opinion again. But of course, I mean, advantages of having a certificate from a recognized, probably a body or professional body or a educator. Yeah.
Basically, it gives your employer a certain kind of what you call
comfort.
it,
I miss a comfort.
Confidence in
exactly.
confidence in you when he is kind of planning to hire you or giving you any kind of this thing. Yeah,
right.
Just need your view on this.
No,
because it all comes down to financials at the end of the day.
No, in fact, I agree with Ankan 100% that, certification from a recognized body does help demonstrate competence. In some cases also, some of the professional bodies are well recognized among the regulators. So when, you have that certification, it gives regulators also the confidence that the person who is doing a particular job role is certified to do a particular job. But then again, if you might have a certification from the best institute around the world, but if you can't execute, if you can't implement, there's no use of having a knowledge which cannot be implemented. So no, I completely agree. But at the same time, let's take an example of a doctor. I'm sure you would want to go to a doctor who's certified and well recognized, rather than to go to someone who people say, oh, he's a great doctor, but he actually doesn't have a degree. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but definitely, I mean, I've seen people, and we have so many case studies of people who actually dropped out from school are some of the most successful entrepreneurs or individuals.
Yeah.
So I think one has to understand what works well for you. I think a lot of people and the millennials are so lucky with the internet boom that we have today, that a lot of learning can actually happen over YouTube, or for that matter, LinkedIn Learning, or there are so many free stuff which is available. So one should definitely make the best use of it. But to some extent, I think when it comes to when you want to do a job with a professional setup, then I think if you can afford, you should definitely go for a recognized body, so that because the certificate will remain with you lifelong. It's like a huge, like Uncle mentioned, like something in your kickback which you can always fall back upon, right? In the case of crisis. So yeah, but I think they should decide whatever works best for them. So I would probably leave it at that.
Okay, and we'll sign off with just one thing from Mr. Hemant Singh. What is the best of ICCI? Which is the best course of, Mr. Hemant is asking, what is the best course you have?
What is the best course of from CISI?
CISI.
Again, it's a very open-ended question. If you ask me which is the best course for wealth management, I can tell you for that. If you ask me which is the best course for investment banking operations, I can tell you for that. But yeah, I mean, I think Hemant was the one who asked about, again, on the equity research side. And I do see that, he's interested in corporate finance. So Hemant, for you, I would strongly recommend a corporate finance technical module from CISI if you're asking from what CISI point of view. But if you're looking on becoming financial analysis, then CFA is the right qualification for you.
He's asking you the most demanding course.
In terms of numbers, if I just go by numbers, there are two courses from CISI which are very well received from the Indian context. The one is the investment banking operations, which is done because most of the investment banks have their captives in India. So that is almost 65% of what we do in India in terms of courses. And the second most popular course that we have is on the wealth management side, because SEBI has recognized our wealth management examination. So a lot of investment advisors take that up. So wealth management and investment banking are the two most popular courses from CISI's point of view in India.
So that would like, because it's already 1 o'clock. So thanks all the attendees, and thanks all the panelists for being a part of this webinar. I hope the attendees have taken something back from this, and all your questions which were unanswered, we'll make sure that we'll get it answered from the experts, and we'll mail it to you. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Inspire India. Thank you, Uncle. Thanks again a lot for participating.
No problem. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Great. Thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye.